Exploration America. Back with another video. I'm going to start doing a series of videos about places I've been. I'm not going to... That last one was kind of boring because I did buy the book history of that place. To me, that was boring. So, instead of doing that, I'm just going to talk about my experiences in places that I've been and basically just give my interpretation of those places instead of talking about the history, because anyone can Google a place and learn the history, so that's not what I'm going to do anymore. So this video, I'm trying to think. I guess in this video I'll talk about different towns in Colorado that I've been and my experience in those towns and stuff like that. Okay, first I'm going to talk about a town in Colorado called Lamar. I don't know. To me, the town sucks. I'm not even going to try to pretend like it's a decent town because it's not. I mean, it has the old school downtown. So people drive through there and they're all, they see that. It's like going back in time or something. I don't know. But the town sucks. Like I said, memories I have there. I have a lot of redneck friends and family members who couldn't be any more redneck if they wanted to. So we spent a lot of time fishing in the canal in Lamar, or Lamer, that's what I call it. Because it's lame as hell. There's nothing to do there besides sitting on your ass beside a canal fishing. Anyway, this one day myself and a bunch of my redneck family members were sitting beside the canal fishing, and it just started to get dark, and one of my relatives was reeling in a fish, and all of a sudden like this huge snake popped its head out of the water, and before I had a chance to even comprehend what the hell was going on, there were like 4 huge snakes slithering up the bank towards us. That's one memory that I have. Another memory I have is being woken up in the middle of the night because some crackhead stole some lady's SUV because she came home from Walmart and left her keys in the ignition, and some crackhead was walking down the street and jumped in the vehicle and drove off with it and slammed into my neighbor's garage and then straight into the canal. And then the whole entire neighborhood was like overrun with police looking for the crackhead who took that lady's vehicle and crashed it into my neighbor's garage before crashing into the canal. They ended up finding the crackhead in an abandoned warehouse across the canal. Another memory I have is my neighbors finding a huge rattlesnake in their house. And they told me that they found a huge rattlesnake in their... When they first saw it, it was in their bathroom. And they were looking for it, trying to catch it to get it the hell out of their house. And I went over there, and then I was walking back to my house next door, and I found a poisonous snake in my yard as I was walking back to my house. So that was a situation. I ended up putting the snake in a bucket and walked across the street and dumped it in the canal. But trying to think other I used to have a dog that was probably the meanest dog in town, for a reason, because he didn't put up with anyone's shit. So one day these punks kept riding up and down my alley, throwing rocks and shit at my dog, because we didn't have a fence, because the landlord there was, well, anyone who lives in Lamar, you know who the main landlord is in that damn town. He's not a good person. He's not even someone who got to where he is legally. But I'm not going to go into that. He's a criminal, and that's all I'm going to say about it. But it's not worth talking about, because everyone in that town knows what he does, including the police, and they refuse to do the job. Anyway, one day these punks were riding their bikes up and down the alley, throwing rocks and whatever they can get their hands on at my dog. And my dog, he was one of those dogs who I had to keep chained up on, like, the chain that I had him chained up with was graded to be able to pull a semi truck. And the reason I had him on that chain is because every other chain I put him on, he popped it like it was nothing. As soon as someone made him mad, he snapped the chain. So I end up having to go and spend like $100 and something on this heavy duty semi-grade whatever the hell's chain it was. I think it was like $199 I had to pay for that damn chain. That was crazy. That's the most I ever had to pay for a chain in my life. But anyway, he was on this really heavy duty chain, and one end was connected to his collar and the other end was connected to pipe that was embedded in cement. And these kids went by the first time, they threw something at him. I didn't see what it was. I just saw them motion like they threw something towards my dog. And he lunged, or he came, like he ran at him and lunged like he was gonna attack. But he couldn't reach them because they were like 50 feet away or something like that in the alley. And there was no fence because the slumlord that I was renting from refused to put a fence. and I wasn't going to waste my money putting a fence up for a property that I didn't own. Anyway, so they went down the alley. They came back the second time through something else. My dog did the same thing, but he couldn't reach him. Then they went down the alley the other way, came back a third time, and one of them threw a brick, and I saw it. It hit the doghouse and bounced off, and my dog went running, pulled so hard that he literally ripped the cement right out of the ground that was connected to that pipe that he was chained to, and went running down the alley after those guys while dragging the pipe and the cement behind him. And I ended up having to chase him all over town because of that. I think I chased him like probably 9 blocks before I finally caught up to him, even though he was dragging a fucking heavy pipe and a block of cement. That dog was that dog was something else. Anyway, so those are the memories I have of Lane murder. Oh, before I have 2 other memories there. Number 1, my uncle's mom and dad both died in that town. I think they both died in that town a month or 2 months apart. Something like that. It was crazy. And I'm trying to remember. I don't really have any memories. Like, I have one funny memory of La Junta, Colorado, or however you want to pronounce it. And that was this crazy girl who thought she was an angel. She literally thought that she knew Jesus, and I don't mean in the sense of going to church or any of that bullshit. I mean, she literally would tell people that she was an angel, that she was sent down from heaven, that she was a personal friend of Jesus, and all this other bullshit. And trying to think. There's a town, well, I don't even know if the town's there anymore because I haven't been to Colorado in a long ass time. But at the time there was a town called Sugar City. I knew an old retired stuntman who lived there, and he was close personal friends with Chuck Norris, to the point where one day I was at his house and he was actually talking to Chuck Norris on the phone when I was there. I thought he was full of shit until he actually handed me the phone. That was one of the craziest situations I've ever been in my life. Because I didn't believe a damn thing he was telling me until he handed me the phone. All of a sudden, Chuck Norris is on the other end of it. I'm like, what the okay. I guess he wasn't lying. But anyway, that's... Oh, and another thing, the biggest reason that I remember Sugar City is because I would go metal detecting and stuff like that, and I found a lot of interesting artifacts and old silver coins and all kinds of shit around that town. Funniest one day I was walking around the post office and I found, I think it was like 2 silver coins right out in front of the post office in Sugar City. Literally right on the sidewalk. I'm like, how the hell did a coin from the 1930s end up... Yeah, that made no sense. But yeah, there was a Mercury dime from like 1930 something, or I don't know. I can't remember what year it was. 1930, 1940, I don't remember. But anyway, I found 2 silver coins laying right on the sidewalk. I still remember that. Even though that was a long ass time ago now. And trying to think. I don't really have any good memories of Pueblo, Colorado either. I mean, to me that's just an overpriced slum. I don't... I remember doing, like, years ago, I was at it was like a honky-tonk bar, combination honky-tonk bar pizza place, all in one. And the person I was with at the time was thinking it was funny to, like, I don't know, they wanted to dance and be stupid or something, I don't know. But for some reason, I don't know why, but being in that place, I still remember, I can't explain why or anything, but for some reason, when I was in that combination dance club, honky tonk, whatever the hell you want to call it, pizza place, for some reason I just started feeling really angry for no reason. I don't know why. Even then I didn't understand why the hell I was getting so damn angry. And then we went to we went back to a motel, or maybe we had already been to the motel, I can't remember. But I just remember going back to a motel, or going to a motel. We got there and I just went nuts. I don't even know what the hell happened. I just remember screaming and just like I wasn't myself. Someone else was in control of me. And I don't know, like, I can't explain what happened that day. I just remember, it was like I was watching myself. Like I was standing outside my body watching myself go into this like fit of rage like I'd never seen. That's the only way that I know to describe it, because I don't even know what the hell was going on or anything. I just know it started when we were at that pizza place slash honky tonk, whatever the hell you want to call it, and then got 100 times worse at the motel. And I don't know. That happened to me a lot though, where I would go to a place I'd never been before, and then all of a sudden, like, it was like something took over me. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, but that one was really bad because I still remember it like it just happened, even though that was a long ass time ago. That's really the only memory I have of that town. And that's not a good memory. And that was before I was trying to do these videos or anything, because back then I had other shit going on. I just couldn't focus on anything creative. I have two memories of a town called Trinidad, Colorado. Well, a few memories of Trinidad, Colorado. Okay, first of all, I remember going I was going to go from Trinidad to Raton one time. And there was a huge bear sitting like right by the barbed wire fence. And I mean, that's the biggest damn bear I've ever seen still to this day. That thing was huge. It's not really my memory, but there's other bear stories that I have for Trinidad too. Because I had relatives that used to live there. One of the other bear stories, one of my relatives was dating a guy, and he took my aunt was dating a guy, and her boyfriend took the trash out one evening about, I think they said it was like 7 o'clock in the evening. Unbeknownst to him, there was a fucking huge bear in their dumpster. So he walked around the dumpster to throw their trash in, and all of a sudden this huge bear popped out. My aunt told me by the time her boyfriend got back in the house, he had a pants full of shit. Literally. They said that he threw the bag of trash at the bear and then ran away. And if I remember the story my aunt told me correctly, the day after that, her boyfriend left and moved to some other state. And another story was some more of my relatives were going from Raton, or I mean not Raton, but from Trinidad to Raton. And they were in a small, like a tiny little sports car. And it was pretty late at night for some reason, I don't know why, but they were going through the Raton Pass late at night, and they nearly hit a bear because it was sitting right in the middle of the highway. They swerved around it, and there was a semi behind them. The semi swerved to get around the bear, and basically the bear nearly caused an accident because I guess the bear, something happened to it before they got to it, and it was injured, so it was just sitting in the road. Another memory I have, like a personal memory, it's kind of a stupid one, but it's still a personal memory. I was walking around Trinidad one time. I can't remember what I was doing. I just remember walking around Trinidad, and some hippie looking guy walked up to me and offered me marijuana for a cigarette. That's the kind of thing that only happens in weird ass places like that. Trying to think. I'm trying to remember. I know I have other memories of Colorado, but I'm like blanking right now. Oh yeah. The only other memory I can think of right now is for Durango, Colorado. I was on a road trip one time. This is the only time that I ever went through Durango, and for good reason. And I'll get to that in a second. So, we stopped at I can't remember what the hell the name of the town was now, but we stopped at some town before we got to Durango, and I was gonna get a room at a motel because it was already starting to get late, and I was on a road trip going to some other state. I can't remember where, but I stopped in some town that I can't even remember what the hell it was called now, but I walked into the motel lobby. The guy was acting really weird as soon as I walked in, and he gave me the third degree and asked me all kinds of stupid questions that I still don't understand why. And long story short, I ended up leaving there because I don't know what the hell his problem was, but he wasn't renting a room to anyone who stopped there. Because I was not the only one who stopped trying to get a room. He was acting weird towards everybody that stopped there. So I ended up leaving, made my way down the road to not Raton, but Durango, Colorado, and first motel I stopped at was way overpriced in Durango. Not sure if it's still like that now because this was a long ass time ago, but at that time, the first motel I stopped at, I don't even remember which motel it was. I just remember stopping at one, and some nerdy looking lady that reminded me of the secretary from Ghostbusters was behind the counter, and she was snobby as all hell and told me how much the rooms were and this and that, and I pretty much just walked out as soon as she told me how much the room was, because I wasn't going to pay that price. And then I went to another one, and by the time I got to the other one, it was already, I don't even remember what time it was. It was already late because I was already exhausted, and there was this creepy guy behind the counter when I first walked in, but he ignored me completely and walked out. And then this lady, like probably a 50, 60 something year old lady, walked out of the back up to the counter, and she's all questioning me about what I needed and this, that, and the other thing. And I was so tired I didn't even notice anything at first, but once I got the key to the room and all that, I turned to walk away, and I look up and there's porn playing on the TV. And then I looked back at the lady behind the counter, and she was completely butt naked. I was so tired I didn't even notice any of that until, I don't know, something clicked in my head, and then I finally was able to see. I don't know what that was another weird thing that happened. And that's not even the only thing that happened on that trip. The next morning, when I got up, literally the next morning after that happened, I got up at I think it was 5:30 in the morning, and I left the hotel, and probably an hour later, going through the mountains, I ended up being okay, there were a bunch of deer running, and they didn't run in front of me or anything, but I saw them. They were running behind me, and then all of a sudden I hear this loud bang, and one of the deers slammed into the back driver's side door as I was going down the highway through the mountains. And that was the next morning after the creepy hotel, or pervert hotel, or however you want to say it, I don't know. And the sad thing is, that's not the only time that type of situation that's not the only time I've been in that type of situation in the lobby of a hotel. That was the second time that something like that happened to me. But anyway, I think this video is long enough now. I've been going on